Good evening and a very warm welcome to another episode of Meet My Gems, an innovative and interactive approach conducted by our respected and beloved Sir Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal. Sir, who himself was an aspirant of West Bengal Judicial Service examination in the year 1999 and secured a top rank in that examination, has chosen the noble profession of teaching as his passion for teaching guided him to resign from the judicial service and to join to the noble cause. He is currently the principal in charge of the Government Center of Legal Education, formerly Law Section of Hooghly Mohsin College. He also served as a faculty member of National University of Juridical Sciences, NUJS, Kolkata. He is also the visiting faculty of National Judicial Academy of the Honorable Supreme Court of India and the State Judicial Academy of the Honorable High Court of Calcutta. I'm sure not only me, but also many other students, teachers, legal practitioners, and persons from almost every other field related to law got benefited by coming in touch with his unfathomable knowledge of law. His teaching has inspired and changed the life of numerous students who got to understand the very essence of law and its potential. For Sir, this is not just a mere interview, but a chance to disseminate valuable information, knowledge, and roadmap for the future. Now, I would like to pass on to Sir, who himself was a judicial officer, to enlighten us with his words on the objective of arranging this kind of helpful interactive session. Sir.
Thank you, Mona. Welcome, Anindita. So I am
Thanks.
really delighted today to welcome the Kohinoor amongst my gems. So I'm sure the other gems would not object to this because Anindita has secured the top rank in not only the West Bengal Judicial Service but also the Tripura Judicial Service. She has cleared the NET National Eligibility Test for the assistant professorship conducted by the UGC and also secured a JRF Junior Research Fellow. She has also qualified the state eligibility test for the assistant professor conducted by the College Service Commission of West Bengal. So undoubtedly, she deserves in her own right to be called the Kohinoor amongst my gems. So today, Mona Lisa would be asking a few questions on Indita, and through your answers, you'll have to reveal your secret of success for the next generation.
I'll try
I
my
am,
best, sir.
I am sure that from today's discussion, from today's deliberations, our aspirants would be immensely benefited. Without wasting any more time, Mona Lisa, you may start the interview now. Welcome,
Okay, sir.
Anindita,
Thank
once more. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for such an extravagant description. I'm extremely privileged to be a part of this series. Once I was on the other side, now I'm this side. So
Good.
I hope for
The
the
tables
best.
have turned. That's great.
Yes.
Come on. Okay, Mona. Start.
Okay. Now I would like to welcome Miss Anindita Bhattacharya, who has secured the first rank in the West Bengal Judicial Service Examination 2022. Not only has she topped the West Bengal Judicial Service Examination, but also the Tripura Judicial Service Examination. This is such a matter of honor and pride for all of us. Apart from this, Ms. Anindita has qualified NET JRF along with SET conducted by the College Service Commission West Bengal. As quoted by Bruce Lee, preparation for tomorrow is hard work today, and this is what ma'am has proved. Very good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
We are very much delighted to have you on board with us in this session. First of all, a warmest congratulations to you on behalf of all the judicial aspirants for your achievement, for such a tremendous achievement.
Thank you so much, Mona Lisa.
Uh,
It's really great to be a part of this series. I remember the time when I was on the other side, and sitting here today, it feels really blessing, and I'm extremely privileged to be a part of Sir's group as well. So thank you.
Now, with your kind permission, and on behalf of all the judicial service aspirants, I would like to ask some questions related to preparation for the judicial service examination. So, may I begin?
Surely, sure.
Okay. So, my maiden question will be, what is your feeling after successfully qualifying the judicial service examination?
It's a great feeling. I'm elated, to say the least. But mostly, I would say that I'm relieved because for our batch, the 2022 batch, the exam procedure took a long time. It was around 1.5 years of examination. So right now, I'm relieved, and all of it ended on a happy note. So I'm delighted with the results. So this is it.
Okay. Wish you all the very best for your future.
Yes, thank you.
As we all know, the meaning of life is to give life a meaning. So my next question will be, from when do you wanted to become a judge, and which person or incident inspired you to follow this path?
My dream of becoming a judicial officer was always there. I remember even in school, I wanted to be a judge, mostly because my father is also in the service. I've seen him, and we've discussed about law in my home as well during discussions in the dinner table and all of those. So that dream was always there, and I remember my father gifted me certain books by Fali S. Nariman in my high school, and after reading those books, I was also encouraged to go into this field, and it was a conscious decision. I took humanities after my in my plus two, and then later I decided to take law up during graduation, and then I had also interned in certain corporate places, and I've also interned in high courts and the district courts. But then I saw that my calling was always in the judicial service, and so then I started my preparation accordingly.
And you proved yourself. Okay. So we all have heard that a good teacher explains, but a great teacher inspires. In that context, could you please tell us the role of mentor in your journey of becoming a judicial officer?
Of course, everyone needs a person who will be there by his or her side. And I'm very lucky and privileged that I have many mentors along the way. I've met many mentors. First and foremost, I think I'm privileged to have a family who's a great supportive family who've been there during my ups and downs. In this journey of preparation, I think there will be times when you will be feeling low, and it is important that you have someone by your side who will hold your hand and say that will be fine. So yes, my parents were there, my grandparents were there, my friends who have been very supportive. And of course, I cannot begin to say how much Sir has helped me during the process. Apart from the legal problems that I went to him with, he's also been a source of positivity. I think everyone who's come in contact with him knows how much positivity he emanates. And I think that becomes a very important part during your preparation, to remain positive, to stay positive. And I thank Sir for instilling in me that vibe of positivity.
Okay. So, well, began is half done. So my next question is, when did you started preparation for this exam?
So I graduated in 2021. So that was during the end of the pandemic. So during the last 2 years of my college, I was inside my house because there was a lockdown. So it was a very difficult phase for everyone. I was there. I was privileged to have a roof over my head. I did not have to go outside. So I could devote the entirety of the lockdown to my preparation. I started my proper preparation during the lockdown itself. I started with clarifying my basic concepts, especially in the procedural laws, which we all neglect during our graduation.
Yes.
So, Sir helped me a lot with the procedural part of it. And then I started completing my syllabus one by one with the law subjects and then my optionals. So I would say the majority of my preparation was during the lockdown phase. And then in 2022, our notification came out a little late. So I got a few extra months as well for my revision and all of those.
So you have utilized the COVID period in such a
Yes.
great way.
Yes.
That's good. If I get 9 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend first 6 sharpening my axe. Here, the axe will be our book's strategy, as they will provide aspirants the impetus and sharpness of knowledge which will ultimately cut through. So now we will move towards the question related to preparation part and its strategy. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, my question will be relating to optional subjects. So, which things one need to consider when choosing his optional subjects? And if you kindly tell us that what were the optional papers that you chose, and what was the rationale or logic behind your choices?
Yes, so I had Muslim law, limitation law, and partnership act for my optionals. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to choose these three subjects. It depends on your comfort level with the subjects. Because for me, I thought that I do not want to be overburdened with my optionals. I had already studied Muslim law quite during my college days, and then limitation and partnership, those are some small acts which uh, because of the less time that I need to devote to them. But I've seen other people also struggling with limitation and partnership because the questions do not come very, like there are no direct questions as such in certain cases. So you have a lot of analytical and problems that come in partnership as well as limitation. So one needs to understand their comfort level with the subjects. And there are people who have also topped the exam with subjects like jurisprudence or constitutional law, for instance. So it really depends on you. You need to understand if you are comfortable with the subject, you can take it. Hindu law is also a good optional subject. Many of them has taken it. So you first read the subjects and then you decide what you want to do. Because for me, I think these three subjects were perfect for me as optionals.
Okay, that's great. Now, could you please enlighten us about the books, bare acts, and study materials for different subjects?
So I did not refer to a lot of books. The basic books that we have during graduation, like for IPC of KT Gaur for Evidency of Batuklal, Bangia for contracts, partnership, Avtar Singh you have for partnership, then Akil Ahmed for Muslim law. The standard textbooks that we follow during graduation is what I followed during my preparation as well. But mostly, I think for the procedural laws, I strictly follow the BEAR Act. Especially for CRPC, I did not resort to any books. I just studied the BEAR Act and I made notes in the BEAR Act itself. So in most cases, I had thoroughly revised the BEAR Act itself and had made notes in the margins, had incorporated certain case laws which I found important inside the BEAR Act itself. So when I was revising during my mains examination, I could revise very quickly. So my major part, the most major chunk of my preparation was from the BEAR Acts, and then I supplemented them with the books. So that is something that I followed. You can, if you're comfortable with studying books, then I think you could go with it. But for me, I was more comfortable with BEAR Acts and the short notes that I made with it.
Okay, uh, that's great. So we all have heard a popular tagline, পড়তে হয় না হলে পিছিয়ে পড়তে হয়. So one needs to study or else he will fall behind. So we want to know from you that how much time one needs to devote to prepare for the exam, and how was your daily schedule in various stages of preparation for different subjects.
So again, it differs. It is very relative and it differs from person to person. For instance, I cannot devote a long period of time for studies. I need breaks in between. So I used to study for around 4 to 5 hours consistently every day. It went up to 6 to 7 hours before mains, but not more than that because my brain cannot process information for such long periods. I need breaks. I used to read a lot of books apart from my law books, as you can see behind me. And I also used to watch a lot of movies in between. I watched a lot of movies, web series, and all of that during my preparation itself. The only thing that I refrained from doing was actively involving myself in social media. That I did not do. But other than that, I had a lot of time for other activities. I also painted because that for me was therapeutic, and I feel you can do it too, because if you're continuously studying, your brain will reach a level of stagnancy at some point or the other. So I feel that you need to take a break, but you have to be consistent. that consistency is required. Be consistent, don't be complacent. So even if you're practicing, so if you do not get so much hours to devote, 4 5 hours, it's not possible for a practicing advocate to devote. So if you can at least give yourself 2 hours for preparation every day, I think that is also sufficient. If you're doing it, structurally, and if you're being sincere
Yes.
about it, so that is fine. It doesn't depend on the number of hours that you're devoting to
Okay.
studies.
This means that পড়তে হয় না হলে পিছিয়ে পড়তে হয়. This doesn't relate, right?
It is, you have to study, but the number of hours really doesn't matter.
Okay, okay. So now you tell us about the strategy of compulsory subjects, the preparation of compulsory subjects like the tort, contract, and how to deal with these vast subjects like IPC, CPC, CRPC, and evidence.
So firstly, I think you should be thorough with the bare acts. You understand and clarify concepts first, because procedural law is all to mug anything. You don't need to go and read a lot of books if you understand the concept. So for IPC, for instance, you have the bare act itself. You can break it down, each offense into its ingredients. You have some landmark cases, and then you analyze the section itself. You don't need to go beyond that, because the demand of the question is not very much. So you understand, you read the previous year questions and see the kind of questions that is asked. You can go for a shortcut as well. There are certain areas of the subjects that are asked more often. So if you do not have a lot of time for laws such as IPC or contract, you can go for it. I'm mainly telling this for practicing advocates, because they might not get the time to cover all of the subjects cover to cover. And you're preparing for around 6 months or 8 months. So that becomes important, that you analyze the past year papers. But if you have the time, I think it is important that you clarify all your concepts, because you cannot predict the papers, and the pattern might change. So it is the first thing that you must do is you must clarify your concepts, and then read the bare acts as many times as possible. I've lost count on the number of times I've read the bare acts. So that becomes very important in your examination, because and another thing, that you have to write a lot. You have to practice writing, because that pen memory remains within you during your answer writing. So that becomes very important, that you
Okay,
practice a
okay.
lot.
Okay. This means that along with hard work, we have to do also the smart work.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So, what was your strategy for prelims current affairs?
I do not have a separate strategy for prelims and mains current affairs. I did it together. So I have a habit of regularly reading newspapers. So anyway, I was updated with the current affairs. I used to jot down important points that might come in the examination. And then I also followed a few YouTube channels which compiled daily current affairs or monthly analysis of current affairs. That becomes important when you're revising. And then I think there are journals like Chronicle, Pratyogita Darpan that you can refer to if you have less time. But in general, I would suggest that you read the newspapers and be updated about the happenings every day. So that even if something is not covered in the journals, or you miss something out, you can retain something or the other which you had read in the newspapers. So that is something that I did, and it was beneficial for me during my mains answer writing as well.
Okay, thank you. So, next, what was your strategy for language papers, English essays, and all?
Uh, See, for language papers, what becomes important is that you write. You cannot be overconfident. One thing we were always writing in English during our graduation, in my
Yes.
masters, in my school as well. So I was out of touch in Bengali. When I started out practicing my Bengali language paper, I saw that the quality was not that good. And so I started practicing Bengali writing regularly, even if it was around a paragraph or a page a day. I used to practice it regularly. And I also had a habit of reading Bengali newspapers, Bengali potrikas like Desh, you have Ananda Bajar for Bengali. I used to follow them regularly, so that I know the kind of structure that I can use for my essays, for letter writing. So practice becomes very important. I think I had written more than 40 to 50 essays before my exam. And even for English, you cannot be overconfident that you know you've written English for so long, so you can write a good essay. Even for English, I did prepare. I had written around 15 to 20 approximately essays before my examination. So writing is something that I would recommend, that you do not be overconfident with your language. Do not neglect the language papers, because they carry equal, if not more, weightage in the 1100 marks that is the mains examination. So you need to give equal time to your language and GK papers as well.
Okay. So, how to prepare original notes, and how often one needs to do practice answer writing?
So I did not have elaborate notes. I did not write questions answer in this format. But what I did was, I had a notebook. I used to note down certain important points from each subject. I had like for IPC, I used to see the important parts that come, and then I used to note down the ingredients of it, the major case laws. Those were all written in a format. It was not very structured, because it was for me and I could understand it. But if someone else had to read it, they probably will not understand. So for me, it went. That was for me a short, a crisp note on IPC. For evidence as well, I had made certain notes on cases, some important landmark decisions, some observations that were made by the Supreme Court and the High Courts, some of the changes that were introduced in the later amendments. These things were noted down in a notebook, so that during my revision, I could refer to the bare acts and the notebook that I had created and revise very quickly. So in the end, I think my revision hardly for a subject took less than an hour or so, because I'd revised like I had revised a lot in through those notes, small notes and the bare acts.
Okay, that's great. That's really very great. Okay, so we get only 3 hours for a paper, right? And
Yes.
in that context of time management, how much importance should one give, or at what proportion the various ingredients, like the historical evolution, sections, explanations, illustration, case laws, must be reflected in the answer pattern, for like 5 marks, 10 marks, or 20 marks?
So you have only 3 hours to write. So again, practice becomes important to understand how much time you're taking for each answer. For answer writing, I did practice a lot of answer writing before I actually attempted my mains. The basic structure is the same, that you have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So what matters is how your paper is different from the others. So in the body itself, you can break down the demand of the question into subsections, subpoints. You can link it with other laws. You can use references. You can use case laws that are landmarks, some of the observations made in the cases itself. So that will make your answer a little different. And another thing is, try to use bare act languages. The keywords that sir always says, keywords, use it in your answers and highlight them, so that the examiner who is checking your paper, he or she will be able to see those key points quickly. I mean, it will be highlighted in your answer, so that you don't need to go through each of the lines and then understand that all the points are there or not. You need to make your paper legible. It needs to be structured well, so that when you're reading it, you understand it at a glance. You don't need to go through all of those lines. So that requires practice. And again, I would say that if you start answer writing 1 or 2 days before your mains examination, that will not come. And if you're not if you don't practice it like beforehand, for like around 2 to 3 months back, it will take a little time to bring that structure in your answers. So I would say that try practicing your answer writing from the very after you complete your syllabus, and bring in the structure in your answers, so that when you're writing in your mains examination, that pen memory stays.
Okay. So, how an aspirant should use the 1 month time between the prelims and the mains?
Between the prelims and the mains, you get around a month, I think. Yes, we got around a week or two because of all of those happening. That was happening anyway. So you can use that time only for revision. You don't try to study something new at that point. because you'll get flustered. You don't need to get more tense just because someone else is studying some extra topic or something. Whatever you've studied, revise it. Revise the barracks thoroughly, cover to cover, once, twice, more than that. Just revise them and see the landmark cases for each law. And if you can, if you have the time, practice answer writing once or one or two papers.
Okay. So, what an aspirant should be doing in between two main papers on the exam day?
So you do not actually get a lot of time to revise the subjects. So you need to remain calm. And what happened to me in one of the papers is that I had misread a question and I had answered it wrongly. The answer was quite opposite to what the question asked. So that happens because you're mentally disturbed, because you're preparing so much that sometimes it happens, but that is not something one expects in a main stage. So you need to be calm and like, concentrate on your papers. Do not try to study the books at that point. If you can, if you have the energy to revise your notes, revise them. But I think it is okay if you don't revise between the two papers. You just stay calm and sit there with yourself, meditate if possible, and try to keep your mind calm, because when you're writing your answers, that calm mind is what is required to write your answers properly. Because if you're overburdening your mind with all of those revision and notes and all of that, then it becomes difficult when you're actually going to write your answers. You might skip one or two answers, you might misread questions like I did. So I wouldn't advise that. Try to stay calm and give your best.
This means that মাথাটাকে আগে ঠান্ডা রাখতে হবে, তারপর যা করার করতে হবে।
Exactly.
Okay. So, how did you balance your social life while you were preparing yourself for such a big examination?
Uh, so I'm not a very social person. I do not go out a lot. I enjoy spending time with myself. As I said, like I said, I used to read a lot of books. I watched a lot of movies. Whenever I fell down, I used to resort to Shah Rukh Khan movies to lift
Okay.
my spirits up. So I did that, and my parents were always there when I did not feel like studying. They were always there to cheer me up. I had my friends. I spoke to them regularly whenever I felt like I was not in a good state of mind. That was something I did. I also, like I said, I painted during the lockdown when I did not feel like studying. That was again therapeutic, and you can do the same. And other than that, social life, I'm not uh, very active on social media. But what I did, I actually disassociated from all social media during the 1.5 year period of my preparation. Because sometimes when you go to social media, you keep on scrolling. There's
Yes.
doom scrolling. I'm also addicted
Yes, yes.
to doom scrolling and all of that. So try to refrain yourself from doing that, not just for the preparation, but in general, because you can utilize the time for other better creative activities, like I said. So that is something that I even now I'm trying to refrain from doing. So this is what I did.
Okay. So now we would like to know that whether having a court practice gives the aspirant an advantage, or it doesn't make any difference.
Practical experiences, of course, is an added benefit for judicial officers when they're actually in court. But during the examination, I think there's a level playing field. There's no difference between a practicing advocate and someone who's just graduated. But when you're going for the interview, I think if you're a practicing advocate, then the panel will be asking you questions from your field of practice. So you need to be prepared for that. Other than that, I think there is generally no difference. But you can always incorporate your practical experiences in your answers if you want to
Answers, yes.
make it different.
Yes, yes. Okay. So did you keep anything as your backup plan, such as court practice or anything else?
Um, consciously I was devoted only for judicial service preparation, but then since our notification came out quite late, I'd also appeared for exams like the SET and the NET JRF. So that also went well, thankfully. So I could, if something did not work out fine in this regard, I could have I did go to academia in between. And I also had given the Tripura Judicial Service examination, which the notification came out in August in 2022. So that was kind of a backup plan for me, but my priority was always West Bengal Judicial Service.
Okay, that's very great. So, while preparing for the West Bengal Judicial Service examination, were you also preparing for other state judicial service examination or any other examination which was related to law?
So I'd said that I'd appeared for TJS as well. So you don't need to prepare for Tripura Judicial Service separately because the syllabus is almost the same. You do not have optional papers there, which you have here, and you have to give an extra paper there, that is a constitution. Other than that, the syllabus is pretty much the same. They have Bengali as a compulsory paper, which we do not have here. So for non-Bengali people, it is a little difficult in Tripura. So I had appeared for Tripura Judicial Service because the syllabus was same. So that did not require a lot of different preparation. So it went along with it.
Okay. So we will move to repeated attempt questions regarding repeated attempts. Okay. So as we all know that failure is not the opposite of success, but it's a part of success, right?
Yes, yes.
So in this context, how should one cope up with failure and how to overcome the fear of it? And should one try again?
Of course, of course. Failure is never final. So one needs to be prepared for that. Success and failure are the two sides of a coin. And if you're prepared for failure, then it will not come as a shock. Because even I was preparing myself for failure. If something goes wrong, what I will do, having a backup plan. So don't lose faith in yourself. The only thing that I can say is don't lose faith because you can do it. It is not the end of the journey. It is just the beginning. It is just one exam. So appear for there are so many attempts, there are so many states to appear for. So don't be disheartened because pick yourself up. You are your self motivator. So I had a chart in front of me that said don't quit because even I was afraid of failure. But whenever I looked at it, I knew that I had to do it, and only I can cheer myself up. There will be people who will be supporting you from your side, but if unless you yourself boost your morale up, no one else can do it for you. So you need to remember that you will be able to do it. You have to be sincere in your preparation while you're attempting the next time, and that is something that you should be mentally prepared for also, because this is an examination. There is also a luck factor, there's a chance factor, there are many other things that you need to keep in mind while preparing for an examination. So of course failure is one part of the journey and you need to accept it as well, but you will do it like AKR has shown it this season.
Yes,
Korbo
yes,
Lorbo Jeetbo. You'll
yes,
do it,
yes, yes.
you'll fight
Yes.
for it, and then you'll conquer your goal ultimately.
Exactly. করবো লড়বো জিতবো রে একদম. So now let us move towards the questions relating to interview. Okay. So how to overcome the fear of speaking in an interview and the nervousness of facing an interview in this stature, and how one has to prepare for interview.
So for the interview, I was really nervous. Before the week before my interview, I was thinking like how I'm going to face the panel and all of that. But by the end of it, like I tried to limit the resources, the books that I was studying, because I think before the interview, do not stress a lot, do not study new things again. Whatever you remember, whatever you had read through the bare acts, read the bare acts if you can, but then the day before your interview, try to remain calm, listen to music, because that becomes very important when you're facing the panel, because it is not a test of your knowledge, like sir says, it is a test of your personality, right? So that needs to be on point. So you need to be calm for that. I remember I watched Chak De India before my interview because I wanted that boost up. And on the day of my interview, I was listening to songs in the morning, and then in the inside the room, I think the panel was very cooperative. It did not feel like an interview at all. It was more like an informal discussion. They asked me about my personal, like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And very few law questions were asked to me. So I think the cordial atmosphere made it more relaxed, and I did not feel any stress during my interview.
Okay. So suppose you get a chance to travel back to your interview session with the help of a time machine. Okay. Then what would you want to do differently in your interview or don't want to do at all?
Uh, it was mostly a conversation, I think, between people. So there was nothing that strikes me that I wouldn't want to do, because like I said, it was more of a interaction between 3 4 people, and it went really well. So I do not think that I would like to change anything. It
Oh,
went for the better.
okay, okay. So we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. In this light, how a judicial officer can give back for the cause of the society, or to be precise, for the cause of a healthy society in comparison with other fields of legal career.
A judicial officer has a lot of power and a lot of responsibility. He's working at the grassroots level where people might not have the resources to go to the higher courts, like the Supreme Court and the High Court. So, in that sense, a judicial officer at the subordinate courts at the lowest level have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. And I think I'm extremely privileged to be part of this service where I can do my best to be able to give a justice to people at the grassroots level. So in that way, if we can bring back people's faith in the judicial system, I think, which is going down these days with all the cases of mob lynchings and all of that, I think I think I will be able to do my part if I can bring back, reinstill faith in the judicial system. And in that way, a judicial officer has a lot of responsibility as well.
Okay, so before this session ends, I would like to ask you that as we all know that you have qualified the NET, JRF, and SET also. So, would you please like to benefit our listeners by sharing your experience and strategy in preparing for the same?
Um, So I did not get a lot of time to prepare separately for NET, but we had a lot of subjects like the contract, IPC, that are also in NET as well as in your judicial service examination. So those subjects overlapped. The few other subjects that I had to prepare separately were like jurisprudence, international law, and constitution, I think, and IPR laws that were there. So I looked at the previous year questions because due to the paucity of time, I couldn't go through all of those, all the subjects in the NET syllabus. So I looked at the PYQs and then saw which portions of the law subjects is more demanding in the NET examination, and I prepared accordingly. So that was all. I did not get a lot of time, like I said, to prepare separately for NET. But if you're logical in your preparation, if you're working smartly, if you understand the demand of the NET examination, you will be able to clear it easily. The kind of questions that are asked are pretty repetitive if you see the previous year questions.
Okay, that's great. In life, the path of success is often winding and steep, filled with obstacles and challenges. However, it is the courage to continue that counts. After all, success is not just achieving goals, but about the journey and the learning along the way. It's about the resilience to bounce back from failures and determination to keep going despite the odds. So, as I have told earlier, that ma'am has not only topped the West Bengal Judicial Services, but also she has topped the Tripura Judicial Service examination. So, would you please throw some light in this regard?
Like the Tripura Judicial Service examination.
Yes, yes.
So like I said, the syllabus is quite same, but there the difference is in the mains pattern. We have only 3 days of mains examinations in Tripura. So you need to give your English paper 1, Bengali paper, then GK paper, law paper 1, and law paper 2. So law paper 1 and 2 has 4 subjects each. So there the problem is that you don't get a lot of time to revise your papers, because you have four subjects in one paper that you have to give, and not a lot of time to prepare. So you cannot like revise before your examination, and that has to be done beforehand. You cannot keep anything for the last moment. So that is something in Tripura Judicial Service that I found was different from West Bengal. Other than that, you do not have optional papers there, so there is less pressure of the subjects in Tripura. But for the Bengali paper, I think they give a pretty standard Bengali paper, and people who are not comfortable, who are not from a Bengali background, or they're non-Bengali speakers, I think they will have difficulty in appearing Tripura Judicial Service, because there you have Bengali as a compulsory paper. Other than that, the other prelims, mains, and the interview, it is similar to that of West Bengal Judicial Service. So prepare together. You don't need to prepare separately for Tripura.
Separately, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing extra, I think you need to prepare a little bit of Tripura GK, the general awareness of the state in general. That is asked during the interview, and that also comes in prelims.
Okay, okay. So, anything you didn't like about the judicial service exam, or what changes would you like to see in this examination from an aspirant's point of view?
Uh, for an aspirant's point of view, I do not think there is something that I would like to change. It tests both your perseverance and your hardworking skills. It tests both, and the combination is very well suited to holistically examine a candidate. So you have a lot of pressure in that mains week, but I think that is required to test your perseverance skills. You need to work under pressure. You have to work under pressure in the service as well. So for that, I think the way the exam is conducted becomes very essential. So I would not like to change anything as such. It is a very well crafted pattern of examination.
Okay. So, बहुत हो गई ऐसी सवाल. अब थोड़ा mood change करना चाहिए.
Sure, sure.
Okay. So now to lighten up our mood, a quick rapid fire question round. Okay.
Sure.
So, civil or criminal?
Criminal.
Smart work or hard work?
I think a combination of both. I work smart. So
Okay. Books or handwritten notes?
I prefer notes and bare acts, not books.
Okay. So, physical classes or online classes?
I think during the lockdown, I had preferred, like, online classes were a boon. So I prefer online classes for that.
Seminars or webinars?
Seminars.
Okay. School or college?
School for the experiences.
Yes. This one is same for everyone. School. Okay. So, age-old customs or modern traditions or trends?
Again, a balance of both is required, I think.
Okay. Constitutional practice or criminal trials?
Criminal trials.
Great. Physical court hearing or online court hearing?
Physical court hearing.
Service or practice?
Service.
Yes. Okay. So, sir, now I would like to pass on to you. Say a few words. So, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay, so it was really exciting to listen to the conversation between Mona Lisa and Anindita. Anindita revealed her secret of success in not only the West Bengal Judicial Service examination, but also the Tripura Judicial Service examination, the NET JRF, and also the SET. Thank you so much, Anindita.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me here. It has been a privilege to be
Thank
part
you,
of
thank
this.
you, thank you so much. I'm sure your your revelation will help the aspirants who are aiming to crack the West Bengal Judicial Service, and also the Tripura Judicial Service and other judicial services, and also the West Bengal Legal Service and other service competitive examinations relating to law. So all the best for your future.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you so
I
much.
have already tagged you as the Kohinoor amongst my gems.
So
And
I'll try my best to live up
yes,
to
please.
this.
So you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and
Yes.
I'm sure you will come out with flying colors. Thank you, Anindita. Thank you, Mona Lisa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for delving in such a detailed discussion. I'm sure the insights shared by you will help all the judicial service aspirants. And I want to thank you again. Really, I will want to thank you again. Now, I want to thank, on behalf of all the judicial service aspirants, to our respected and beloved Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal. Sir, I cannot thank you enough for giving me such a golden opportunity to interact with a precious gem like her, Kohinoor, as quoted by you. I share this privilege with all the aspirants of the judicial service examination, and I want to thank you again, sir, from the bottom of my heart for helping in every possible way by teaching, guiding, and mentoring many students like us. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best, Mona Lisa, for your
Thank you, Dee.